Hi, class. This is on chapter 6, existential therapy approach. And in the prior chapter, we have talked about the use of Adlerian counseling approach. Yeah, and in Adlerian therapy, in the case conceptualization, we have emphasized the importance of early family social environment, which shapes the kind of inferiorities that we have, ultimately driving the kind of guiding self ideal that we would say develop and eventually which would influence the kind of lifestyle that would emerge from our experiences. So these are all parts, these concepts of guiding self-ideal, lifestyle, as well as inferiority feelings are the root concepts of Adlerian therapy. In terms of the counseling process in Adlerian therapy, we think of it as an egalitarian relationship where the counselor and the client are considered as equal, capitalizing on the human person to person interaction between the two. Yeah. And the intention is not so much as to diagnose the client, but to encourage the client to face life task, life tasks that had been attempted to be avoided using the symptoms, the problematic symptoms. So we have considered different approaches and techniques, such as the use both of family constellation in emerging the interpretation that we will be uh, ano ba, birthing, yeah, for the client situation, and then the use of the question as well as early recollections, both as tools to uh, flesh out the phenomenology, yeah, the subjective world and interpretation of the client. And techniques such as future autobiography, acting, and reflecting as if, among others, provide the framework which ultimate goal is to allow the client self-awareness about his own dysfunctional lifestyle or exaggerated sense of feelings or lack of social feelings of inferiority or lack of social interest. So any coming from an integrative na point of view, we could use any technique and then embed it in the philosophy of Adlerian therapy. So now we are moving towards existential therapy. And in existential therapy, it's founded on the theories of Viktor Frankl, Rollo May, and other existentialists that we have encountered in our theories of personality. It's it's called existential therapy because it tries to deal with crisis of existence, meaning, purpose, sense of significance, self-acceptance, and all those other human experiences that makes our existence worthwhile. So, kung tanawon na kung existential therapy approach, it's much more a philosophical worldview rather than a therapy in itself. I say that because it talks about freedom, responsibility, what is the cause of suffering, but it doesn't talk about how we should uh, emancipate from suffering, our fear of responsibility and fear of death. No. So when I say that it's a philosophical worldview, it's the way that we look at the client, the problems that the client brings into the counseling. And then we could use techniques from other approaches. We could use techniques from Gestalt, which is a very technique na counseling approach. And we could even integrate behaviorist, cognitive behaviorist, or solution-focused na mga approaches. But the inner philosophy of the existential therapy approach remains in kung natay client and then we're using an existential therapy approach, ang mga pangutana nato would be how are you making your choices, exercising your power of responsibility, maximizing your freedom as a person, creating your own suffering. Mga ingana siya ng mga questions ba? Like, it's more on our philosophy of our existence na exploration, conversation, if I may, rather than a technique that tries to solve problems. Oo. Oo. So, the metaphor that is consistently brought in the existential therapy approach is the idea that the therapist is a mirror that reflects the issues that the client is facing in terms of his existence, the issues of running away from responsibility, running away from loneliness and being alone, running away from our responsibilities, did I say that? And our freedom, no? And the counselor, by reflecting, by mirroring all these issues, creates a space where the client could better understand iyahang existential na mga issues ba. And then, when the client understands these existential issues, mas naa siya'y ability to exercise ang iyahang capacity nga mag-solve sa iyahang problema. So, kung tan-awon nimo dito sa psychodynamic approach, it's more the counselor who provides the intervention, the solution. I mean, dako ang role sa counselor in terms of identifying the solution for the problem. In the Adlerian, it's more an equal na balance. Both the counselor and the client participate in the problem solving. In the existential approach, it's more on the client's responsibility to choose kung unsa dapat ang maayong solution para sa iyaha. Nonetheless, the um, objectives for our session would be first that you would be able to explain the fundamental propositions of existential therapy. There are 6 propositions, if my memory is correct. Second, to describe the therapeutic process in existential therapy. What is the role and function of the therapist? What is the experience of the client? What is the goal of therapy? Are there phases in therapy? And finally, describe techniques, if any, in the use of existential therapy approach. So we begin with the fundamental proposition, which is the view of human nature. The existential therapist reacts against the idea of identifying as a set of techniques. No, rather, it is a philosophy. Kay ang mga proponents ani like Viktor Frankl, the proponent of logotherapy mo. Kay ang background niya is that he has a Jew na heritage, tapos during the World War they were caught by Nazis, tapos torture chamber among others. So there was a lot of suffering occurring personally nga na-experience niya. And at the same time, nakita niya around him with his fellow na mga Jews. And then a realization that Frankel carried out of that is regardless of the situation of the human person, na siya capacity to choose kung unsa iyahang attitude. It is a freedom nga dili siya ma-deprive sa isa ka tao. If you lose any freedom, your freedom to choose would still remain with you. And according to Frankel, one of the reasons why people are suffering is that they're failing to recognize the full extent of their capacity for freedom. But consequently, with that capacity for freedom, napod siya responsibility ba? Mura siya, what comes to my mind is, kanang idea ba nga, ignorance is bliss. The less you know, the more problem, the less problem you would have. And logotherapy, and in essence, existential therapy, is also something like that. As we became more aware of our options, mhm, we become more aware of, kasi this is a journey of self-exploration. We become more aware of kung kinsa ta, kinsa ang piliun nato nga mahimutang kinsa ta, mas sense nato nga kalisod ba di ay aning mamili. The burden of choosing ba. So, it's a struggle first to recognize that you are free to and to make choices. And then it becomes a struggle to recognize that your freedom also brings a responsibility to kay kung dawaton nimo imong freedom to make choices, dawaton nimo pod nga ang resulta sa imong choices is your fault, it's your responsibility. You have no one else to blame. Whatever suffering you have in your life, it is because a portion of it was because of your own choosing. Whatever problems you have in your life, it is because you have exercised your capacity for freedom in not an optimal manner. So, maingon na to nga kadto na philosophy is a conversation. If I imagine ang existential therapy ba, it's like uh it's not so much as a therapist but a philosophical advisor, no? A philosopher advisor nga the client comes into hala oy wala namang meaning ako ang kinabuhi, di ko kabalo sa ko ang purpose, I don't know how to make choice. And then the counselor would open up the breadth of choices nga available pa. Nga like, am I going to resign from my job or to stay in my job? which a client of mine um is having a struggle right now ba. Ang iyahang worry class was kung mo resign ko karon sa ko ang job, daghan man gud kong bayro nun. Unya, ang sweldo nako karon ngon siya, modagan na og mga doldol na og mag 6 digits laging ana. So dako siya na loss. Pero kung dili pod siya ma-resign, toxic pod kay iyahang boss kay permanente siya kasab-an, ginahansakan siya og mga trabaho nga dili iya. So torn siya between whether to resign and risk not being able to pay all those financial responsibilities, or to resign and take care of his mental health, but also to, face the uncertainty nga, will I have a job after? So the role of the existential therapist, well, at least the way that I see my role in that situation, is someone nga, kung kuan pa, image pa is, ang iyahang thoughts is more like yarn nga nagjumble-jumble god. Anya, ang role ni therapist is essentially unravel tong yarn para makita niya ang end to end. Tapos hinahinayon siya og roll balik para mas klaro siya. So for me, we articulated sa kato na client katong nagalisod og decide sa iya. Nag-articulate mi nga it's actually a I mean after the an hour na session na ba virtual, nag nag-decide mi nga, yeah, we actually see tulo ka roads para sa imuha. There's this road of resigning, ing aning iyahang risks. Tapos there's this road for uh, not resigning. This is what you're going to struggle with. Tapos there's another option. So the role of the existential therapist is to help clarify, or rather, hindi, let me rephrase that. The role of the existential therapist is to provide a space where the client's thoughts could come to clarity by a constant exchange of ideas. Ah, It's a conversational ba? So, mura siya, magamit na ko dito, itong ako ang, I made a disclosure about my own personal experience of having in that position as well, whether to resign or not to resign. And it is a therapeutic process where more than ever, the humanity of the counselor is most tangible. I mean, unsa niya pag-convey dito sa client nga napod siya issues before, makasabot siya dito sa issue of existence, meaning, purpose, being adrift in life, finding no anchor. Unsa na niya pag-convey sa iyang client nga makasabot siya if not by acknowledging his own humanity. Uh, so the existential tradition would like to create a balance between recognizing the limits and tragic dimensions of human existence, our tragedies, our suffering, and our struggle, which is part of our humanity. And at the same time, moving from struggling towards striving by recognizing the possibilities and opportunities where a person could thrive optimally. Uh-uh. So, if I would capture that in one statement, I would say na existential therapy is the journey between the client and counselor, where they come down to the human experience of loneliness, freedom, responsibility, and struggle with these issues together so that they see it as an opportunity for growth for the client. Nana. Well, kung tanaw na to ang current focus of existential approach, it's more on the individual's experience of being in the world. As Rollume would say, uh, you're the same. Your Umwelt, Mitwelt, o Eigenwelt. Uh, your relationship with the world, your relationship with people, and your relationship with the environment and your internal world. How the person is manifesting. I would admit, class nga, the words that is used in this existential approach are very philosophical. In such a way nga, unsa daw? Unsa yung pasabutan ng freedom, responsibility? Dili nimo siya madala dito sa level ba nga, I mean, pwede siya mahimong challenge nga dili nimo madala siya into the level nga ma-observe nimo into the person. Medyo high and abstract ang conversation pag-abot sa existential approach. But the focus is being in the world and facing the anxiety of being in the world alone and in this isolation. Because the reality, according to existentialists, is that nobody could get inside your head. You are alone inside your head. And you will be forever alone inside your head. Nobody could completely understand you. And that's the reality of human existence. And many people struggle to overcome that reality. Others would go to drugs for overcoming that loneliness that they feel that nobody could understand them. Others would go to sports. Others would uh, burn themselves at work. Others would um, commit to destructive multiple relationships. And ana. We have all of us are struggling with this idea that we are alone in this world. Kay, I mean, that's the point of relationships. That's why we get into the relationship. Because at some point in the relationship, ma-feel na tong, hala, nasabtan ko niya. Pero at the end of the day, mo balik gyapon ta dito sa realization nga kasabtan ka niya at some point, pero not all the time. Even the person that are closest to you, your best friend, your boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, eventually there will be points of disagreement because you are alone inside your own head. And that is a struggle that existential therapy would like to uh, facilitate sa mga tao ba nga tabangan ang client to deal with this isolation, with this loneliness, with this fear of non-being and so forth. So according to Yalom and Joselson, no relationship can eliminate existential isolation, but aloneness can be shared in such a way that love compensates for its pain. So it's just like saying na the struggle for love is actually the struggle to be never lonely. Oo. 'Di ba? Mang-quote siya. Deep, deep kunyari ang existential therapy. But yeah, that's the kind it's reflective because you have to I mean, if we are growing as a therapist or as a counselor, I see the value of at some point in our lives being the existentialist therapy approach is a celebration of humanistic values in terms of uh, kanagong people are always on the verge of making breakthroughs or breakdown in their life, and they are always recreating themselves through projects that they engage, whether that project is a relationship or work or studies or whatever it is. It's a process of unsa ba kanang gusto ko siya i-capture ba ang central idea ni existential therapy nga dili siya kayo floating. Oo, oo. Yeah. Okay. Existential therapy's view of human nature is at the bottom, journeying with the client to discover kung kinsa siya o unsa ang importante para sa iyaha. Yeah. That's actually the next bullet. It's about being a person, and this implies that being requires a discovery of our meaning, our purpose of our existence. That's why existentialists tend to have a spiritual flavor dito sa ilahang therapeutic approach because questions as kinsa man ka, unsa ang mga values nimo, unsa ang purpose nimo for your existence are all important questions asked by existential therapists. And more often than not, these are also the same questions asked by spirituality leaders or even in the scope of religion for that matter. So we cover six propositions. Um, Summatively, the view of human nature is humanistic, meaning that people have the capacity to make choices, as opposed to being deterministic. The view of human nature is consequently optimistic, which means that people have the capacity to make changes in their own lives and they have the potential to be good, uh, which gives a premium in terms of the view of human nature dito sa ideyang the person is greater than the situation. If it's a person situation na argument. In terms of the nature-nurture na argument, well, the tone ha, it's not absolutist. The tone of the existential therapy would favor uh, nurture more so than nature because choice is more supreme mm, than the chance genes that we got. Okay, so these are the six propositions. The first proposition is the capacity for self-awareness. So all our clients come to the counseling with a little and to varying degrees insight about their own self. Yeah. And the exercise of self-awareness requires freedom from constraints, freedom from self-labels, as well as an exercise of choice and responsibility. Choice and responsibility, according to existentialists, are never apart because the greater our awareness would be, the greater our choice of possibilities would be, and the greater our responsibility would be. Muragod ka ng nakay choice naa na ang tanan sa imuha. Unya nakay choice nga mangawat o dili. Anya, because you are offered the choice, the burden of facing the consequence of the choice is also much greater to you as opposed to a person who would have no choice. The assumption of proposition 1 is that all people are free in terms of they are able to exercise their will, their creative power, and their capacity to express whatever they are internally experiencing. But at the same time, people are also limited by their environmental and social constraints. Our biology, for example, is a constraint. Social expectations, to an extent, also create a constraint for the freedom that we would have exercised. So the challenge of therapy is to create an environment where people are free to explore and discover themselves. Uh, this therapy resonates with people who are unsure of what they are becoming. No, dili na sila sigurado kung kinsa sila. They have identity confusion, and not just in a sexual orientation way, but in many aspects of identity confusion, whether they should be a teacher or they should be a psychologist, identity confusion, whether they should be a better parent or a better spouse. Yeah. And all of this juggling of roles oftentimes diffuse what self really is to a point na when we look at the mirror, we don't often like what we see as uh, my boss used to say na the ultimate metric nga makabalo ko nga successful ko is kung at the end of the day kaya na ko tan-awon ako ang sarili sa amin nga di ko maulaw sa akong kagalingon ana god. I don't know what that meant to you, but that meant to me like she's living up to her own standards. The proposition 1 is a recognition that proposition 1 presupposes that our self-awareness should encompass our finiteness na as people. Nga dili taan limit dili anli ato ang time in this planet. And different individuals would have different reaction to a realization of their finiteness. Muragod ka ng um, na ay mga tao nga because they recognize that death is near, they would spend all their energy doing the things that they want to do, being happy, partying, and doing everything because they're trying to make the most of their remaining time. But there are also people who are responding to the finiteness of humanity in terms of making themselves healthy, protecting themselves, keeping themselves safe. No, so we have different responses to a recognition of our finiteness, and the step for self-awareness begins with unsa ba to ang attitude towards our own death. And second is that self-awareness also broadly encompasses a recognition of our own capacity to take action or not to act. Mm. This is our attitude towards our choice. Kung ang una is our attitude towards our death, the second one would be our attitude towards our choice. Do we fully exercise this? Okay, if we fully exercise this, all the mistakes, failures, and faults and sufferings of your life will be your own responsibility. That's why other people would rather have someone else that they could depend their lives on. Someone who could protect them, who could take care of them, because they're scared to take the burden of choosing for their own and the burden of responsibility for their own choices. Yeah. Consequent to that is our attitude towards our creative power for our destiny. Because naman tayo capacity to choose our own actions, then our destiny is also partly a product of our choice. Mauna siya nga gina-emphasize na ko kaning existential therapy approach is very humanistic because it not only because it borrows the language of humanism, but also its core beliefs are anchored on humanity's free will, attitudes to meaning, significance, and death. Our capacity for self-awareness is also, sa proposition 1 and converted into a task in existential therapy approach, is discovering unsa ang meaning kung anong naata diri sa planet. So others would say that their meaning is to help sick people. That's why they are in the healthcare profession. Others would say that the meaning for their life is um, to build homes. That's why they're engineer. Others would say like maybe kamo nganong namo sa psych because we wanted to advocate for mental health. No, we have different meanings, and meaning is not static. Your meaning right now, your purpose of existence right now could be something like that. Pero as you go across your developmental stages, pwede jud siya mag-vary. Mhm. So, authenticity, at least in the existential approach, refers to a consistent commitment to what we think is important for us. Oo. By creatively exercising ang ato ang free will. Mhm. To find and discover ang ato ang purpose. Kani nga existential therapy approach kay pang background music ang drama niya. So, in proposition 1, the capacity for self-awareness brings with it our sense of responsibility for the consequences of our choices. Ignorance is bliss. I'd like to say intelligence, pero dili magud siya intelligence. Wisdom is a burden. Ingana na lang. Ingana. The more wise you are in terms of your awareness kung unsa ang mga choices nga available sa imuha, the more difficult would be it is to make a choice. So we are subject to, uh, I mean, existential therapy recognizes the tragedy of loneliness, meaninglessness, emptiness, guilt, and isolation as normal aspects of the human experience. All people would have some varying degrees of these kinds of experience. And our response would dictate whether we are adapting or adjusting effectively towards these realities of humanity. So, ang capacity for self-awareness na to is going down to the bottom of the idea that we are basically alone and yet we have an opportunity to relate with other beings. So the key insights in existential therapy that we want our clients to cultivate bangan, something that they would realize while they are engaging in existential therapy is one, they would see how they are trading the security of dependence for the anxieties that accompany choosing for themselves. It is more convenient and comfortable to allow for someone else to make decisions for us rather than face the anxiety that our decisions could be faulty and would have grave consequences in our future. It is also good if we could help our clients to gain key insight that they begin to see their identity is anchored in someone else's definition of them rather than exploring and constructing their own identity. Many people are seeking approval and confirmation of their being through others instead of themselves. Uh, so, akin to the idea of externalizing our self-definition rather than taking control of our own self-definitions. We believe that the roles that is imposed by society, I mean, si existential therapy ba, gusto niya tabangan na ang clients nga ma-realize nila ba, you are so much more than just a student, you are so much more than just a parent, you are so much more than uh, just a spouse, and all the other roles that you're fulfilling in society. If, say, you recognize that you are these roles, but you are also beyond these roles, then you are in the journey of, say, internalizing your own identity rather than externalizing it to someone else. We also want to facilitate clients to learn that in many ways, they are keeping themselves prisoners by some of their past decisions. The reason why people suffer is because they cannot move on from the past decisions that they have made. They could not let go of how that past decision had shaken, if not outrightly shattered, ang ilahang identity. And we want our clients, if we could, no, to realize that they can make new decisions different from what they have been deciding in the past. Sama sa mga clients nato nga uh, na addiction, for example, moagi jud na siya existential crisis after the many years nga giilad ni iyang pamilya, gibaligya niya ang yuta, ang mga property sa pamilya, nangaguba ang mga relasyon nila sa pamilya, kinsa na siya karon. Wa na nabilin sa iya ba? He was stripped of his identity except for the identity as an addict. And that's a struggle because that's a painful realization for an addict to realize that I am nothing else right now but an addict. So rock bottom dito siya na realization. And as an existential therapist, the role of the counselor is to, ano ba? Nakalimot ko unsa na nga language na kuan. African language man na siya. Greetings nila nga sa wobo na. Uh, I see you, and when I see you, I bring you into existence. Mura siya, I see you as you are, and when I see you as you are, you exist for me. Maraging ana. Okay? That's gonna be a very long na philosophical discourse. But the idea there is we're often not seen by others as we really are, or even as we see ourselves, but they see us through the lens of their expectations of how we should be behaving. And that creates a conflict sometimes, how we see ourselves and how others see us. So clients would come to the counseling asking, kinsa ba jud ko? Am I supposedly be the way that they're seeing me? Or am I supposedly be the way that I'm seeing myself, even if I'm going to disappoint these people? Or how do I recognize the pain of knowing na ing ani na lang nabilin sa akong identity and I am nothing else but something. Parang nga. We also want our clients to come to realization that they could learn to learn rather that they could not change certain events in their lives, but they could change the way they view and react to these events. It's a recognition of the prayer of Saint Francis Assisi. Kanagong, I'm sure I've mentioned this in class before, na Lord grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I could change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Diba? Wala dyan ako na nakalimtan ever since rehab days na ako in college. I resonate with that because oftentimes we are trying to control our past as if it is something that uh, trauma, for example, experience of abuse. uh, Some people go through life trying to rewind these events, trying to change them. And because it's in the past, they're struggling with an impossible task, Herculean, if I may. Their energy is devoted to that task. They can't do anything else. And so their suffering perpetuates. Oo. We also want our clients to learn that they are not condemned to a future that is similar to their past. Many would have experienced tough childhood, but they are not defined solely by their past. They can learn from their past, and by that, they could reshape their future. Clients could also benefit by realizing that while they are preoccupied with death, suffering, and dying, they might not always appreciate the living. I find this quote na, if you're going to die tonight, who would you call? Tapos, what are you waiting? Because what makes you think that you're not going to die tonight? Diba? Like, anagad, um, people tread to their lives and oftentimes with wishing, avoiding death. Mm, mm. I, when I was in the home for the aged with research, yeah, for the dissertation of my classmate and my own, you see mga elderly ba nga kanagong wala na sila yung family, wala mo kuha sa ilaha, na. And then, they begin to ask na, dili naman siguro kung mamatay, muraga na agad. Then you are also reminded of, yeah, death. Mm. And how we could appreciate living. Yeah, because the two are inseparable. Okay. We also wish that our clients are able to accept their limitations, their weaknesses, without trying to deny them or minimize them or completely reject themselves for having these limitations. And still feel that they are worthwhile as individual, that they are significant, that they are worth accepting and loving. For their imperfection is not a guarantee that they are unlovable. So we also want our clients, if not us, to come to realize that they are failing to live in the present moment because they are either too preoccupied with the past or too anxious for the future or trying to do too many things at once. Yeah, yeah. If anything, in the pandemic, siguro it's a realization na we could, somebody in our family or we could be suffering from the pandemic, and it reminds us of the uncertainty. School could stop, jobs could stop, the future could freeze in terms of our own future as we expect it. Yeah. And juggling all those, para siya, nag-juggle siya og balls. You know, juggler? Yeah, juggler. And some of those balls are made up of glass that fall and break. So our wish for as existential therapists is to increase self-awareness as the primary aim of counseling. self-awareness of the aspects of how they're moving around and being in the world, how they're being authentic to their human experience of suffering and happiness. And clients also need to learn that a price must be paid for an increased awareness. If Spider-Man said na with great power comes great responsibility, with increased awareness comes greater burden. The second proposition is freedom and responsibility. According to Schneider and Krug, existential therapy embraces three values. The first one is that we have the freedom to become within the context of natural and self-imposed limitations. Whoever you are today is a function of you making your own choices out of the experience that you had. Uh, dako jud ang, I mean, neuroscience aside, dako jud ang kapital nga ginahatag sa existential therapy on the concept of free will and the concept nga makabuhat ta og sarili natong choices in a broad swath of possibilities atong kinabuhi. Uh, so the capacity to reflect is also a value, particularly on the meaning of our own choices, why we made these choices and the consequences, as well as the capacity to act on the choices that we are making. Yeah. In proposition 2, the freedom is a double-edged sword in that while it liberates, it also is a weight that we have. Ingon pa si Viktor Frankl, um, if there's a statue of liberty, katugong Manhattan, there should also be a statue of responsibility because liberty cannot exist without responsibility. Ingana. And at the heart of existential therapy is the idea of helping our clients cultivate authenticity. And authenticity is a construct referred to when we take responsibility for our own lives, for our own choices, and recognize that we have to be with our struggle and suffering and all, instead of being a passive, free-floating, sa tawag ni mo, ana, leaf in the ocean of life or river or whatever. We take an active role in shaping our own lives. And so respond, freedom implies that we are responsible for our own lives, actions, and even our failure to take actions. And oftentimes we have to face existential guilt because we have tried to avoid making a decision or tried to avoid exercising our own freedom by choosing not to choose. Siguro an example that I could think of with my clients. Yeah, that we have. I think I've talked about with this client before na ang iyahang issue was on he wanted to be independent from the family because he felt na dili na sila supportive sa iya ba. Pero at the same time, ang iyahang special child na igsuon, dependent pod sa iya. So, torn siya karon. Di siya ka-decide whether to leave the family or to injure the family. Maging ana. So, makita nimo it's a very good example of the burden of choice. Yeah. Because there are two choices. Had there been only one choice nga, dili siya kahawa. Kay dili lang jud siya kahawa because depende siya sa iyang family na dito ang iyang igsuon. Pero once nga naay ni gawas nga isa pa ka choice, we suffer over it. Suffer for making those choices. Mm. I like the Buddhist approach of non-attachment and non-self, anatta, uh, na Pali na term, where it tells us na it is because we grip too much our ideas and expectations about situation. Our reality should be like this. Once we open up our hands and let go of these expectations and attempts to control our reality, we become non-attached to the reality of, not in the psychotic way, but in a way that is a cultivation of our own freedom. Then we reach higher levels of nirvana. Yeah, that's the word of the Buddhist. So, this existential guilt is a condition that grows out of a sense of incompleteness or a realization that we are not what we might become. Uh, because you chose this, again, when you choose one road, obviously, dili na ka maato dito. Ano na? Ano na? Kanang kwan ba? Nakay choice ana. Mato ka diri, na po kay choice. Pero dito na lang jud imong direction. You can never backtrack. And there is always like an awareness nga what if dili nako to siya gipili? What if wala nako ni gidawat na trabaho og nagstay ko sa akong trabaho? Kanang never ending stories of what ifs is a very good example of existential guilt. And our role as existential therapists is to recognize that the client's what if play is a moot, if not an anxious inducing, anxiety inducing exercise. Want them to be free, and to be free, to be human, is to embrace that their choices would always be imperfect. Proposition 3 is the striving for identity and relationship to others. According to the existential therapy approach, people are concerned about their uniqueness and centeredness. Yet at the same time, they want to relate to others. They want to have an identity, but they also assert the merging of their identity by pairing up with other people or being in a relationship with other people. Because having a very rigid na identity would create loneliness, but having a very diffuse na identity would create dependence, neurotic dependence, mampod. So it's a balance of sustaining your identity as opposed and at the same time mm, maintaining a healthy relationship with others. However, rather than searching within for the answers of the conflicts in our own lives, we often sell out by asking others to solve it for us. Much like some of the clients come to the counseling more like marketing types. They expect that the counselor would solve the problem for them. Surprise, surprise ko existential lang ilahang therapist. Kay ibalik jud na ni existential therapist sa iya. Na, no, that's your responsibility, that's your choice. You solve that one. I am here to reflect back and have a productive exchange to you about the options available. Ingana. So by assisting our clients in facing the fear that their lives or selves are empty and meaningless, we try to create a cohesive sense of self, an integrated sense of self, in a way that it is characterized by self acceptance of whatever is in there. And at the same time, there's an element of adventure and self exploration. Yeah. The Paul Tillich, a German theologian, if I'm not mistaken, talked about the courage to be, which is our constant struggle to discover, to create, and to maintain a core deep within our being. This is in contrast with the third wave CBT approach founded on Buddhist na mga paradigms. Again, the concept of non-self, where the self is non-existent, which neuroscience is partial to. But the idea is that uh, even if biologically as a construct, or even philosophically as a construct, people or the self is not true. People still have a need to find a core identity which they could say that uh, ing ani ko, this is me, I am this is me, I am this. So one of the greatest fears of our clients is that they will discover that there is no core. They have lost themselves. If you recall the example that I gave you in Adlerian therapy, where I was talking about a client who was sexually abused since childhood by multiple family members. No? Ang biggest realization jud niya dito kay wa na ko kaila kung kinsa ko kay ako ang kinabuhi nagdepende na lang sa ila. Murag I am nothing else except but a victim by my abusers, maraging ana. So wala siya chance to explore kung unsa tong mga gusto niya buhaton, unsa pag-atiman niya sa akong kagalingon. So that when he came to therapy and he began to realize na all along, these people have been chains, shackles para sa ako. And I have willingly volunteered my hands and my feet to be shackled pa. So now that I know that they are shackles, I also realize that I have the key. Ano yung metaphor. And now that I know that I have the key, I could free myself from all the shackles of my past and live as free as I can and discover who I really am after all those trauma that I've been through. And kung maka, usually if maka, I mean, when I was having this conversation with the client, I feel sort of like proud na nakaabot siya sa ingana ba kay at the beginning of the sessions there were four of us na counselors na handling this client. Very uptight, dili siya mo chat og tarong. I mean, dili siya mo open up og tarong. Mas daghang kayo siyang symptoms. Pero ang level of insight niya ba nag-elevate nga. Hala na siya understanding nga siya di ang nagabutang sa iyang kaugalingon sa suffering ba. And so na siya capacity nga i-reframe iyang kinabuhi. Kanagong hala no, nag-mature na ang client, murag nga na. And then uh, it's sort of wonderful to see that after all the trauma, makaingon siya nga, hala, I'm enjoying my life right now. I'm discovering myself. So if a client demonstrates the courage to confront all these fears of losing themselves, they might well leave therapy with an increased sense of uncertainty in life. Because the self is a dynamic na construct. It will change across our lifespan. And so, once we begin to recognize nga, siguro yung ani ko karon, but tomorrow there's no guarantee nga yung ani gihapon ko. Kung kaya na to na siya i-tolerate, mas kaya na to i-tolerate tong mga fundamental changes, uncertainties in our lives, much like the pandemic had brought. So existential therapists may begin by asking their clients to intensify the feeling that they are nothing more than the sum of others' expectations. Questions such as, what's the most important role that you're fulfilling right now? How much energy do you derive from this role? How satisfied are you with yourself for doing this role? Do you feel that this role is something that is vital to who you are? May nga na. May nga na mga questions try to unpack kung asa gikan tong pag-identify sa client sa iyang sarili. Kani ba inherited niya nga identification or identification nga siya mismo ang nag-build. Once clients have recognized this fear of finding that kanagong ano ba? Oftentimes in cases of marital disputes, like couples have been together, have been really close, and then the discovery of an affair, ano, it shatters the identity of the spouse who did not cheat because abi niya ang construction niya sa iyang kaugalingon ba is uh, I am this good spouse, my husband loves me, takes care of me. He wants to stay with me for a long time. Dito na nagtuok yung kalibutan. Unya mabala niya nga na day affair. Murag shattered ang everything, di na siya kaila. That's the common narrative in in marital disputes for infidelity that even the perpetrator, not the perpetrator, the person who committed the infidelity would say nga, I don't recognize myself anymore. I thought I loved my spouse, but I don't know nga nung nakabot siya sa point nga nag-cheat siya sa iyahang spouse. So both of them are suffering much more so. Yeah. If you want, that's a very um Esther Perel puts out a very beautiful na conversation on that and the psychological issues faced by by couples who are struggling with infidelity, particularly with the loss of identity. Mm. So, more than ever, the spouse would feel that he is or she is alone because the person who he thought he is going to share his till death do us part no, is suddenly a stranger kinaday siya kabit. So the role of the existential therapist is to be there to help the client rebuild ang iyang identity from scratch. Discover niya balik kung kinsa siya outside of the context of being a spouse only. Uh, uh, that's why siguro there's truth in do not give everything your. But my thoughts were, if you're not going to give everything, what's the point? Anyway, the second sub-proposition. The second sub-proposition of the reality of being is the experience of relatedness. The first one is the courage to be. These are our struggles, human struggles siya ba? Na in existential therapy, ang role natin is to support the client while he or she struggles through these human experiences. These realities include the experience of relatedness. We want to be part of someone else's world. We want to feel that our presence is recognized by someone else and that our presence matters to someone else. And one of the functions of therapy is to help our clients distinguish between being neurotically dependent and being in a life affirming relationship. If we borrow Eric Fromm's contextualization of what love is. It is a union, but at the same time, it is a cultivation of individual identity. No? A recognition of Adler's reality of the indivisibility of the self and Jung's assertion of individuation as essential to psychological health. So if we are unable to tolerate ourselves when we are alone, how can we expect anyone else to be enriched by our company? Uh, so it's like I think it's Rupi Kaur who said that we should cultivate a healthy relationship with the person who we spend the most time with, the person we go to sleep every night, ourselves. Outside of having a healthy relationship with ourselves, how can we expect to have a healthy relationship with others? And if anything, that's a lesson for therapists. No? If we cannot cultivate a healthy relationship with ourselves, how can we imagine having a healthy relationship with our clients? And proposition 4 also includes our struggling for our identity. Because we are afraid of being lonely, we oftentimes imbibe and internalize what others expect us to do and to be. No. It's a complete imposition of identity from everyone else without our own assertion of our own. Farha writes that some of us become trapped in doing mode to avoid the experience of being. We're always doing a work, a role, mm-mm, instead of being ourselves. We are always, it's a task. Living is a task rather than living as it is. So part of the therapeutic journey consists of the therapist challenging the clients to begin to examine the ways in which they have lost touch with their identity by letting others design their life for them. It's a journey of maragog ka nang kung magpa-counseling pa na existential therapy ang approach, they have forgotten to take care of themselves because they were so focused on someone else that when that person that's what happens actually in grief, like a spouse dies ingana. And then all your life you were a spouse of this one tapos suddenly mawala siya ba because of death. Kisa na siya karon kung dili siya spouse walay mabilin sa iyaha kay gidala tanan dito sa lungon. Ah, so grieving is a rediscovery of what your identity used to be before it became fused with another person. And psychotherapy, at least existential therapy, is something that is akin to that. Our proposition 4 is the search for meaning. People wish that unsa kay pasabot ani na kanang mga ingana mga question ba like unsa ni siya para sa ako, like uh what is the purpose of this experience, what makes this experience important for me. So this is, I mean, this is a reality, as existentialists would say, a reality of human experience. Questions that we struggle include: why am I here? What do I want from life? What gives my life purpose? What is the source of meaning for me in my life? This happens with people who also uh, who are in a job. They've been there for 5, 10 years. Ang life nila is ilang trabaho. Ang ilang identity is ilang trabaho. And then suddenly, they would lose that job. Loss of identity na po siya, di ba? Kinsa ka kung dili na ikaw ang trabaho. Or I think I've asked you this before in Theories of Personality. If stripped of all the roles that you're doing right now, kinsa man ka maging ana. So questions that are asked also include: do you like the direction of your life? Where it's going right now? Are you pleased with what you now are and what you are becoming? If you are confused about who you are and what you want for yourself, what are you doing to get some clarity? Hala no? Buntag dapat ko nag-record ani kay pang maalala mo kaya man di ning mga pangutana aning existential therapy. Yeah. It's very melancholic na mga questions. But at the siya profoundness, it's highfalutin but it's also relatable. It's profound or deep, but it's also practical. No? Uh-uh. Like when you're going to mm, mm, mm-mm, to take the board exam eventually, you are confronted with the uncertainty of whether you're going to pass or not. And you've stayed for 4 years in college. You have built on the expectation that you're going to be a psychometrician. But at the end of the day, whether you pass or fail, would that, I mean, kung existentially siya na pangutana ba kaya? Halimbawa, ang mga client failed the board exam, then na-depress siya, marangan. Murag, the task is to confront the client and to encourage the client to realize that he or she is much more than the failure in the board exam or even failure in any aspect of life. Parang ano. Anyway, oftentimes when we are trying to change our values because we think that something is not working anymore, we forget that we need to replace them. Absent a replacement of new values, we are left with a value vacuum, and the value vacuum creates an identity confusion. Uh, our values are the things that are important to us. They drive our identity. So clients may report nga mura sila both nga wala na rather. Yeah. They would seek guidelines and values that are appropriate for newly discovered facets of themselves. And yet for a time, they are without them. So one of the tasks of the therapeutic process is to help clients create a value system based on a way of living that is consistent with the way of being. It's a value system that they themselves have decided on, that they themselves have chosen, so they will face the consequences of their own choice. chosen with full recognition of the responsibility and burden of that choice. Proposition 4, the search for meaning also is a recognition that meaning is created. It is not simply given by the world when we come into the world. No. We are born without meaning. So at some points, clients might struggle with when they lost the meaning of their life, whether that loss entails the loss of a relationship, the loss of a property, the loss of a job, or the loss of an aspect of their identity. Yeah, yeah. I often, no, not often, but when I deal with clients who are in the discovery of kanagong nag break ang relationship ingana, I often look at it from the perspective of for a long time your identity was this, and then it was taken away because of some separation, and now you don't know who you are. In fact, you are at a new point, a new situation where you are free to discover and create who you are back from scratch. Now more than ever, you are free. But of course, freedom has a cost. So for Frankel, a feeling of meaninglessness is the major existential neurosis of modern life. A lot of people trudge to life not knowing what they really want out of it. They just are going through the motions. Meaninglessness in life can lead to emptiness and hollowness. Some people strive very hard to achieve an ambition, and when they have reached the ambition, find it meaningless. Walay value para sa ilaha. All they thought that they crave this position at work, but once they got that position, they find that they're not really fulfilled and happy having that position. It creates an existential vacuum. Recognizably, meaning is something that is dynamic. Logotherapy is designed to help clients create and find meaning in their life. Nonetheless, it must be recognized that what is meaningful to you right now could be meaningless to you in the following years. What was meaningless to you right now might be meaningful to you in the following years. So, the therapist function is not to tell clients what their meaning in life should be, but to be there. Ana, that's the best that we could do. Oo, to be a conversational partner in terms of uh, discovering, helping the client see meaning in his own life or constructing. This view also holds that human suffering can be turned to human achievement, much like Frankel argues with his experience of torture under the Nazis. Uh, It's a freedom that could not be taken. And yet, meaning could not be directly searched or obtained. So finding satisfaction and happiness in life is a byproduct of being engaged, which is commitment to creating, loving, working, and building. Uh, it's a side effect. It's not a goal. Proposition 5 is a recognition of the role of anxiety as a condition of living. Anxiety arises when our personal strivings are threatened and we feel that we are unable or we are overwhelmed by the threats that are in our environment or within us. So existential anxieties, in fact, when we are confronted with the givens of existence, such as death, freedom, choice, isolation, and meaninglessness. When you suddenly discover that you are sick with COVID or cancer or whatever, and then you only have a few months to live. Mm. The death is breathing on your neck. That creates an existential anxiety. Makes you reflect na, hala, unsa na may nabuhat na ako sa akong kinabuhi? Happy ba ako sa nabuhat na ako sa akong kinabuhi? Happy ba ako sa direction sa akong dagat sa akong kinabuhi? No. So those questions arise give rise to existential anxiety. While neurotic anxiety is an overblown anxiety to normal threats, they are out of awareness and often tends to immobilize a person. And finally, the last proposition is awareness of death and non-being. A distinguishing human characteristic is the ability to recognize that death is inevitable. It should not be considered as a threat, but as a motivation for us to live in the moment. Once we accept the reality of our own personal death, there would be a massive change in our attitude. This would mean that what's the point of worrying about tomorrow if you're already dead tomorrow? Maraging anap. There's a Buddhist na saying, if you meet Buddha on the road, kill him. Or if you meet Christ on the road, kill him. Maraming ana. Ang gusto ipakita to na metaphor, if anything, is that uh, we are often too attached to concepts of Buddha, concepts of religion, concepts of tomorrow, our expectations of future, maraming ana, that we are not on the road, but we're trying to uh, look what is ahead. So existentialism is an encouragement to live in the moment. So one of the focus in existential therapy is on exploring the degree to which clients are doing things that they value. Uh, yeah, I was supporting a classmate doing her dissertation with elderly also. Then ang study niya is death attitudes of the elderly ba. There are several attitudes. And one of the things that our conversation itong namin dito talking with the elderly kanang naka-wheelchair na sila, nanggahi na makamot, ana. Naay part nga heartbreaking, pero napoy part nga inspirational. Ang part nga heartbreaking dito kay you see nga gusto gyapon nila i-mend tong mga relationship nila sa mga anak nila na ay isa dito nga hangtod karon kay na ay away sa iyang mga anak, wala siya ginabisita dito sa home for the aged. Tapos iyang mga anak kay mga lawyer, doktor, kanagong in terms of social class ba kay ah makonsider nato nga taas ng ilahang social class, but na siya feeling nga kanang wala siya nabisita nga na or ma-amends na I sense the yeah. Then naisa dito na tigulang na all throughout sa iyahang kinabuhi siya lang isa, wala siya nagminyo, babae na lola. Tapos iyahang pag-umangkon ang iyahang murag close gud sa iyaha. Tapos recently hapit siya na ICU. Ano. Tapos ang mga pangutana namo sa mong session kay uh, unsa man imong gusto buhaton nga pamaalam ana. Malamang, di ba? Kahago po dato ay magsige jud ming kaon pagkahuman og session kay mga stress man mi kay magsige manghilak ang mga tigulang ana. Maapil pud mi kahilak ato. Nag-goal pa mi one time kay katong tigulang nga ginastorya namo kala naghilak na jud siya naghagulhol na jud katong gikan og ICU. Tapos di nakaginhawa. Kulba na ko ato eh. Nag-breathing sa mi. Yeah. But more than ever, because they have a recognition na naana sila sa departure area. Oo. There's a movie with that. There's a movie. We made them watch that eh. There's a movie, Filipino movie, Eddie Garcia. Ano yun? Daluyan ng dampayan ng langit or something? Uh, kung kabalo mo ana nga movie, it's nice. It's nice. I saw a snapshot, then I sense na, okay, from an existentialist na perspective, that means a lot. Uh, means a lot. Anyway, so yeah, uh, in existential therapy, we help our clients come to the bottom of the reality that at some point in their lives, they would have to confront death. Oftentimes, their maladaptive behaviors is their attempt for running away from the reality of death. Their immature behaviors could be an escape avoidance of the reality of death. Maybe somebody died in their family and that hurt a lot, so that they wouldn't want to be reminded of what death is like. So they go the opposite way. Okay. So that is case conceptualization for existential therapy. If anything, what we could look at is we examine how the client is embracing his own personal choice, exercising his freedom, his ability to his identity, kinsa siya, and how he struggles with the givens of existence. In the therapeutic process, the goal is to invite clients to recognize the ways in which they are not fully living authentic lives. And when we say they are not fully living authentic lives, they are not working through the givens of existence, the realities of death, freedom, responsibility, and so forth. So we invite clients to make choices that will lead to becoming what they are capable of being, to maximizing their potential, to discovering who they are. Uh, this is a conversation. Again, I would say it again, class, the philosophical nature of existential therapy makes it malleable for use of techniques from other approaches. Pwede nimo i-embed ang techniques ni Adler, ni Freud, ni Jung, behavior therapy, gestalt, solution focus, feminist reality, whatever. Pwede nimo sila i-embed with the philosophical founding of existential therapy. So existential therapy's aim is to help clients recognize and engage authentic being in the world, so that uh, their experience would be worth it. Yeah, existential therapists are mainly concerned about helping people reclaim and re-own their lives. Sometimes they have lost their lives because of tragedies that had happened, and they are beyond, it felt like wala na sila control. And so, as therapists or counselors, our role is to bring them back to their feet, help them be on their feet, and recognize that they still have their control. So, the therapeutic process goals include one, to help clients become more present to both themselves and others instead of getting stuck in the past or worrying about the future. Second is to assist clients in identifying ways they block themselves from fuller presence, because uh, of their fear of their own choice or fear of their responsibilities, they might not be being in the full sense. And to challenge clients to assume responsibility for designing their own lives and to be present in their own lives. And to encourage clients to choose more expanded ways of being in their daily lives rather than being restrictive, rather than being rigid. We cultivate a level of flexibility na adaptive siya, so that when tragedies come again in the future, because tragedy is a reality, they would still be able to sustain kung unsa man tong gains nga nakuha nila in the therapy process. So, in terms of the experience of the client, we want the client to assume responsibility for how they are currently choosing to be in their world. We want them to, ang key technique diri class, if anything, is asking questions or the Socratic method. We want questions like, uh, let's say, mo-assume og responsibility. Let's say, na siya problem with relationship niya, nagsige silang away sa iyang anak. Ana. So, a question that an existential therapist would ask would be, so, unsa ka na role ang gi-play nimo in terms of your conflict with your kid? Nga na. So, because we want them to see their responsibility dito sa conflict. Uh, so, clients are encouraged to act based on insights they develop. So halimbawa ma-recognize nila nga, my role was that I was too strict with my kid. Wala ko'y time nga maminaw sa ilaha, sa iyaha. Ang next question with that is, how do you think that insight would be useful in dealing with the situation that you are in? Yan na. Para para katong insight madala nimo siya ba? That's a I'd like you, if anything, a skill na pwede ninyo makuha in existential therapy is always carrying insight. Unsa ka ang importance ani nga realization sa imong situation karon? Kaning ana na ah, hala bitaw no na kay realization nga ing ani siguro ang reason nga ning ani mong batasan. Ma-realize niya nga ay ing ani magud ang iyang mama sa una, blah 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 blah. Next question jud ana is unsa man nimo pagdala ka ng realization sa imong situation karon para magamit nila para dili lang siya insight. So they become aware of who they have been, who they are now, and who they could be in the future. So they're invited to confront the ways of coping that is not productive. The relationship is a person to person encounter. There are moments where the client is vulnerable. The counselor could also model a feeling of vulnerability para mapakita niya nga ah, ano ba, more than a professional sense, the counselor exists as a human dito sa with all the issues and struggles faced by any human. So attention is given to client's immediate ongoing experience, the present now. The therapy itself is a small universe where both the client and the counselor exist. And they create the contents of this universe. And they design this universe and the kind of relationship that they have. So it is egalitarian. I'd say this is my own quote. The relationship is egalitarian between two persons with their own imperfections and with their own journeys, willing to guide them. It is founded on Buber's I-thou relationship. The I-it relationship is the person and his relationship with the world. The I-thou relationship is the person and his relationship with himself. Uh, well, I'd like to say that there are techniques in the existential therapy, but there are none. There are no exact techniques. This is not a technique oriented, rather, it's a philosophy oriented therapeutic approach. The interventions and techniques are anchored on the philosophical assumptions of existentialism. You can fruit salad techniques from other approaches and bring them to match with existential approach philosophy. So it is important for the therapist to reach sufficient depth of openness sa iyahang kaugalingong experience. It is important for the therapist to explore topics for himself, issues such as death, freedom, identity, responsibility. No? Nga ikaw mismo as therapist, na-struggle na nimo para dili mo malumos doa sa imong client. But there is a phase, a process in existential counseling. During the initial phase, the therapist would assist the client to identify the assumptions about the world. Much like Adlerian, we identify faulty assumptions or basic mistakes or schemas in cognitive therapy. So may mga beliefs sa clients about what the world is like or beliefs about death, beliefs about himself, beliefs about others. During the middle phase, clients are assisted to examine the source and authority of their present value system. The assumption being that this value system is not working with your current situation. That's why you're maladapted. Uh, we need to restructure your value system so that it could work with who you are becoming. Or uh, maybe there's a better way of looking at your value system so that growth would be more easy for you. During the final phase, the counseling focuses on helping the client to convert into action what they have learned, the insights that they have gained. So the aim of the therapy is to enable clients to discover ways of implementing their examined and internalized values in a concrete way between sessions and after. So if anything plus that you get from existential therapy, it is not for psychologically and mentally disturbed ka na mga psychotic natural di ka mangutana og mga what is the meaning of life, what is your identity, mag-ana-ana ka dito sa may na schizophrenia, no dili siguro. So dito ka sa mga slightly maladapted lang. Oo. O kadto lang pong mga client nga makasabay sa profound sa philosophical na tone sa existential therapy ba. So dili siya pang tanan ang existential therapy nga ay hala pangutan-on dapat nako akong client, do you fear death, mag-ana-ana po ka. So it doesn't require nga it doesn't fit all clients, what I'm trying to say. The kind of client that is ideal for existential therapy is a kind of client who uh, one is at least at the moment tarong iyahang cognitive functioning kana ma-converse nimo ba kay. Second, this is good for a client nga very abstract and philosophical. Kanang mga pangutana niya kay katong mga pangutana sa existentialism. Third, the same goes for the counselor. So this is not a counseling approach for everyone. Okay. If the next counseling approaches that we are going to do, labi na si Gestalt kay medyo hands-on naman ni siya. Kani kay medyo cognitive man gud ni si existentialist. Si Gestalt kay puro ang kamot-kamot po, hands action oriented po siya. Kani kay thinking oriented, insight oriented therapies man ni psychodynamic, Adlerian ug existential. Ana. Ang mosunod, relationship oriented na therapies si person centered. Okay, so let me end this with no. So this is the quote that I'd like to end. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Okay, thank you, and I hope that you got something from existential therapy. Questions, I'd see them in Canvas. Bye, class.